What are your earliest memories? How old were you when things started to lodge in your mind as memories? The first thing I can remember is my sister being born when I was 3 years old, and I have a few rare memories of infant school. Odd things stand out from the time until I was about 7, but I have more consistent memories after that point. Memory is a strange thing. We will all have different memories of the same event, even if it only happened relatively recently. Things like family history and stories and traditions form an important part of memory. Photos help too. But sometimes we might think we remember things that we can't possibly remember. Sometimes a family story is so vivid that it becomes one of our own memories, even if we didn't recall it before the story was told. One family story is that I choked on a knitting needle when I was 2 or 3. And even though I don't think I actually remember it, it's so vivid that I can visualise it as clearly as if it were one of my own memories. Stories that go back beyond our own time span are important in shaping families and communities. You will all have your own family stories and community stories and traditions that are important to you. As a church, we have our own stories that mean something to us. Stories of our past, stories that remind us where we've come from, stories that shape our identity, stories that frame the way we think about the future. And on a bigger scale, as Christians, we also remember the faith story that we read in the Bible, and we find ourselves within that story, a story of God's love and mercy and grace, of faithfulness and provision and liberation and salvation. It's important that we remember these stories because they hold within them corporate memories that become our own and that we pass on to future generations of followers of Jesus. Today is a day that is set aside for us to remember certain things. We join with so many other people in remembering all those who have been affected by war and conflict across the world, particularly over the last 100 years or so. And we remember those special people who have been part of our lives, those who have meant something to us, those we have loved and lost. We remember and we give thanks for so many people, some who have lived long and happy lives, some who have struggled and suffered, some who have been taken from us much too soon through illness and accident and tragedy. We bring all our memories today. Perhaps we come with mixed feelings of gratitude, joy and sorrow, thanking God for those people who have been part of our lives and who have enriched us in so many ways, yet feeling sorrow that they are no longer with us. Today we hold in our minds and in our hearts pictures of precious loved ones, and we are thankful and we are blessed. Photos are sometimes important triggers for our memories, and today I want us to take 3 snapshots from our Bible readings to help us on this Remembrance Sunday. Firstly, let's think about the reading from the letter to the Hebrews, because to me that looks like an amazing family photo. Imagine a huge portrait that spans the generations, and that's what we have here in Hebrews. The writer calls them a great cloud of witnesses, and perhaps you can visualize what they might look like. Maybe like a great stadium filled to capacity with so many faces that it's impossible to take them all in. The writer helps us to zoom in on the photo a little bit by pointing out some of the names of people in the crowd. Look, he says, there's Abraham, Isaac and Jacob. Oh, and there's Moses and Rahab. There's Gideon and Barak, David, Samuel and the prophets. The writer does his bit to help us, but there are still people in the picture whose names he doesn't tell us. And there are people in that number who wouldn't be known to the writer, people he wouldn't have heard of. And there are people in that number who we know, people we love, who are no longer with us. That great cloud of witnesses perpetually surrounds us. We are in their presence, even though they are beyond our sight. How amazing it is to be able to think about that great cloud of witnesses today and to remember those we know and love. The second snapshot is from our Old Testament reading, because Isaiah brings us a postcard bearing good news. Isaiah has good news for us from God. There is good news for those of us who mourn, good news for those of us who have been brokenhearted, good news for those of us who have known oppression and struggle and injustice. There is good news for all of us, good news of comfort and liberation and joy. We will not be left where we are. We will not be left without help. There is good news because God knows our situation and God will transform. The brokenhearted will be healed. The captives will be set free. The bereaved will be comforted. There will be gladness in place of mourning and praise in place of despair. And those who have been marked by suffering will become pillars of strength and hope and encouragement to others. They will be known as oaks of righteousness, and they shall build up the ancient ruins. They shall raise up the former devastations. They shall repair the ruined cities. The third snapshot is from Luke's Gospel. The words of Jesus remind us that life is fragile and precarious. Bad things happen. There is tragedy and suffering, and nobody is immune from it. Being faithful to God doesn't mean that life will be easy or uneventful. Jesus warns of wars and persecutions and tragedies, yet Jesus also promises that he will be with us and will never leave us. He will be with us and he will give us both words and wisdom to do and say what is necessary at the right time. This is the kind of photograph that we might carry with us in a wallet or a locket, the kind of reminder of a loved one that we want to hold close to us. Jesus promises that whatever we face, whatever we are going through, he is there. We are loved and we are held, and there is nowhere we can go and nothing we can do that will put us beyond his loving embrace. Today we come together in remembrance. We remember the effects of war that reverberate through generations, and we remember the calling of Jesus to us to be peacemakers. We remember those we have loved, those from whom we have been parted by death. We remember the history of God's people and our place among them. Their story is our story, and we are all part of God's special story. The story shapes our lives. We remember the cloud of witnesses, and we give thanks. Thanks for all who have touched our lives, for all who have inspired and helped us on our journey of life and faith. And we let all that we remember, and all those special people whom we remember, shape our lives today. Therefore, since we are surrounded by so great a cloud of witnesses, let us also lay aside every weight and the sin that clings so closely, and let us run with perseverance the race that is set before us, looking only to Jesus. Amen.